CMMS Radio talks about all things CMMS, computerized maintenance management software, focused on maintenance management. It's the people, the process, and the culture that make your CMMS journey a success. All right, welcome back to CMMS Radio. I got these two fellows from ReliabilityU. You're going to get to know them. If you don't know ReliabilityU, you can check these guys out at ReliabilityU. That's the letter U, not Y-O-U, the letter U.com. They do online technical training, and they offer a lot of things around. My favorite part is like the precision maintenance aspect of things that they will eventually get to, that really is an area you should all be focused on. So I want to welcome to CMMS Radio for their first ever episode and the first recording of 2026, Adam Lunt and Brett Scott. Guys, welcome to CMMS Radio.
Greg, thanks for having us on, man.
Yeah.
Well, we all survived the ringing in of the new year, and I want to start off first of all with you, Brett. You know, I had already met Adam. We were chopping it up. We were talking a lot about like the road show that ReliabilityX had put together, and you guys being out there. But we got into this discussion around ReliabilityU. So I'm hoping you could just give some background on that, what it is, why it is, and how you even came up with launching it.
Yeah, so I don't know, several years back, my background, of course, is I worked for Wichita State University for a while. So I built all this training material and was putting on these classes, and it just made sense for me to kind of make this available for if you wanted to do like a on-demand kind of online training. So I kind of built that years back and never really pushed it very hard. But when Adam and I got together, we kind of decided, let's work together on this and bring this back to life and, kind of start pushing it actually. So for me, it was just kind of a pet project, but now I kind of want to get it out there, get it going.
Yeah. So switching it over to you, Adam, when it comes to, like the podcast itself and you guys launching that, I'm curious, you just saw other people doing it and thought, hey, this is another way for us to get our voice out there? Or was it more like kind of a plan you had the whole time and just eventually did it?
So I would say Brett and I kind of had, and correct me if you think I'm wrong here, Brett, but I feel like him and I, when we first started this together, we each kind of had our own idea of what ReliabilityU was going to be. Like he was more the training side. I was more pushing towards, hey, let's do a podcast. Not that I was against his idea or he was against mine. We just, kind of had our ideas. And then we quickly realized, or at least I did, that we could really use the podcast as a marketing vessel to steer people to the training. And also we've had a lot of really good guests on from, everything from alignment, oil, vibration, general stuff, having like Joe and Paul on from ReliabilityX. That was huge. But it kind of clears up the you don't know what you don't know thing. And we started realizing what the needs of the 38 viewers or whatever we have. We get some feedback from those people a little bit on what they'd like to see more of, which translates into the training as well, not just the guests and the content of the podcast. So, and then once we started doing the podcast, I think Brett would agree with me on this. We found out, dude, it's a lot of fucking fun. It just getting together and, chopping it up with people. So aside from the fact that it's a good segue into our trainings, it's just a good way to get the information out there because and you know better than anybody, Greg, there's a dozen companies or better out there that all like to help, we'll call it, but really all they're doing is helping their pocketbook as to where, obviously we can't do everything for free because at some point you got to pay the mortgage, but we're not trying to, at this point in ReliabilityU's life, if we can monetize just enough to cover the expenses and break even, we're happy. We're not we both have jobs. Yeah, it's a hobby for us, but we just want to share the info. We just want to get out there and make the world a more reliable place.
Yeah, and
Yeah, well,
I'm go
sorry.
go ahead, Brett.
I
No,
think
no,
kind of
go
like
ahead.
what he was saying too, like his goals, my goals, were so close, but then we kind of realized when we started doing this that there's something right in the middle that's really what this is about and really the training goes with it, the podcast goes with it, but it's really about, like he said, one of the most advantageous things I see as being in training for so many years is when you get people together from all different facets of, different parts of the country, different types of industries. They start talking not just about the main topic you're there for the training, whether it be vibe or whatever. They start talking about everything. And then you start picking up things that you're like, I never would have got this in a class.
Right.
You get that stuff where, guys' experiences where they come across weird things that people didn't put in their books that you're like, man, that is good to know. That's what we want to share. And we started realizing that when we started having guests on, that we're like, some of these stories we're getting from these people, and like, we're just realizing that, that's what everybody kind of wants, is to have a place to talk about things, to hear other people's stories, because it's not just all the stuff you can read in a book. You can pick up a ton of stuff just from people's experiences.
Oh, it's 100% true. It's what people really want, and some people know how to deliver it. Some people deliver it, they don't know how they do it, and then there's the ones that kind of try really hard, but they're not quite getting it. I want to be careful with that because I think anybody that's putting out content and trying to educate people and give them opportunities to learn or maybe showcase and share their stories and experiences, I think that's really important because we need real voices that are grounded. My preference is for the high integrity, but I'm a righteous kind of guy, right? I think there's a I don't know what the fuck I'm saying. The whole point is keep it real and try to add some value. I get to learn this from all the people that I've met over these last few years. I mean, I just passed the 4-year mark, and what you guys are doing is, in my view, which take that whatever, right? It's really a good way to share the info, inspire people to participate, and that's how we really get somewhere. And I think that's what a lot of us different folks have in common. You mentioned Joe, you mentioned Paul, there's George, Dan. I mean, when you look at ReliabilityX and some of the other folks out there, just putting out good info to help you stay
Yeah.
the path, I think is really good. So, getting back over to you, Adam, when you focus in on this, and we've talked about it before, I think it was like a week or two back, where this idea behind precision maintenance
Mhm.
in particular is, we know it's important, but it seems to be the most overlooked and one of the prime areas for people to really start making an impact in their respective environments, whether it's a shop floor, whether it's oil rigs or whatever. Where do you personally get that background understanding, and where'd you get so passionate about the precision maintenance aspect of maintenance and reliability?
Yeah, so I kind of came into it an odd way because most people start off, they're a millwright, they work in industry, whatever, and then they transition or move into like a reliability centered field or precision field. I actually,
Hmm.
I'm not going to say I was forced into it by any means, but I had a very unique opportunity come up. I used to drive. So prior to my reliability life, I worked in Chrysler dealerships managing service departments. And I did that for about 9 years. And I got just fed up with it, is really all it boiled down to. It was one of those. And now I love my job. Like, I don't have to be working today. It's the day after New Year's, but I am because I like it. But when I worked at the dealership, it was like I dreaded getting out of bed every morning. So I quit, and I was actually driving a delivery semi for Coca-Cola. And my dad had started my dad was the maintenance and reliability manager for Cargill for 21 years, I believe. And after he left Cargill, jumped around, did a few different things in the reliability field, and ended up starting up a reliability program for a local service company here in my hometown. And he ended up purchasing a vibration data collector from our good friends down at Ludeca. And at the time, they were offering a free Cat 1 certification with the purchase of the tool. And my dad, I mean, I don't remember, I think he was a Cat 3 or whatever. And he didn't have any employees. It was just him. And he called me up one day and he's like, "Hey man, you want to go get certified in vibration analysis?" And I'm like, "I don't even fucking know what that is, but sure, sounds great." So I got a free certification, jumped in the car. It happened to be over my birthday, which was cool. And I drove out to Fort Collins, Colorado, spent a week out there crashing at my uncle's house. Just to say, long and short, I started off in vibration and really found, with all the technologies out there, there's so many other things you could do that I was, blissfully unaware of. But it was like, man, and, I just grew a passion for this. So that
Yeah.
was, kind of what happened.
And so with this thing and really on the precision maintenance, Brett, what do you feel when it comes to the commonality of people kind of overlooking that or not being able to get to that focus in their various maintenance departments? Like it seems like it's really something they want to do that they can't get to.
Yeah, that's the same with a lot of things aside from just precision, like even just basic predictive and preventive stuff, is when a lot of companies get into that firefighting mode and they don't have the resources or the, be it manpower or the money, the budget. And that's where most people get stuck, is it becomes a money thing. And then when you finally get somebody you get talked into, this is what we should be doing. This is the right way to do things. If we can get to this point, we're going to start saving some money and we're going to start seeing results. But it's not, somebody used the analogy when I was growing up through this stuff. They said it's kind of like steering a jet ski versus a cruise ship. You feel it when you're turning that jet ski. It's immediate. It's happened. But with that cruise ship, you don't necessarily know it's happening when it's happening. And that's the same thing with this maintenance stuff. It takes a while for it to actually work. It's not instantaneous, and people don't give it enough time to give it the time it needs to actually prove that it's worth, And I think that's where most places go, is they'll finally start getting buy-in, and then maybe they'll get the tool, and maybe one guy gets training. That guy either leaves or he retires, or the tool sits on the shelf, alignment tool, whatever it may be, and they don't use it. So I think that's where most places get hung up, is this has to be sold clear to the top. If it's not, it's so much of an uphill battle as a tech guy or a maintenance guy or a millwright or even a planner, scheduler, whatever it may be, to say, I keep seeing these same problems over and over. And if we were to do this, we wouldn't have these over and over. But we're in firefighting mode, and getting out of that is really difficult. So I think that's where a lot of companies have that hang up, is just getting the buy-in from up above. Once you do, and they put the resources to it, then they're gonna make it. But it's hard to get there, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And I think the resistance is kind of a part of it's natural, and then another part of it you already mentioned is so leadership might not see the value in it because they speak a slightly different language. So you've got to work on how that's presented to get that leadership buy-in. But then when it goes the other direction and leadership's on board with it and they're moving something forward, if you don't have team buy-in, then you've got kind of a squeeze play going on there. And when you are in that reactive firefighting mode, you feel like it's, think of I don't know, like some kind of animals running away from a saber-toothed tiger. They're just focused on that, right? So firefighting in these plant environments, you got to handle stuff now. So that slowdown and disruption is so painful, and they can't get ahead of it. So, Adam, what about when it's leadership that's bringing in these things, whether it's predictive, precision, specific on alignment, and they're bought in, they know what they're doing, and they bring it in. How does it fall apart from there in what you've seen when it comes to lack of team adoption?
I think a lot of it is lack of training, because I've seen so many times that people, or I shouldn't say people, facilities will go out and they know what they need to do from a leadership level, like you're saying, and they'll spend the money on the tools, and they'll take the times to get a demo and have a rep come out and actually, find their pain points. But then they spend however much money, we'll say 30, 40 grand on this piece of equipment, whatever it is. And then they deploy it to the workforce and just assume that they're going to grab that thing and go be successful with it. And
Yeah.
I live by the adage, a sharp knife doesn't make you a surgeon. And you've got to get the training. If you're not going to make the investment in training, and sometimes that is a financial investment. Sometimes it's just time. Um, but if you're not willing to make that investment, that's a lot of times I see it fall apart. Another time that I see a lot of fall apart with alignment specifically are people are just you've always got one or two guys in the industry or in the organization that have been there since dirt was white before the building was born, and you are not going to change. You are not going to convince them that new technology might be better. And I am not always saying that new technology is better. Sometimes it isn't, but they are just so heels dug in like an ass in the mud, and they're like, no, we're not. You cannot tell me that that piece of equipment will do better job than my dial indicators. Well, give me an opportunity to show you how. And they're just like, no, they're not doing it. And so I think, just like Brett alluded to, you got to start at the top. But and like you said too, it's a squeeze play. You've got to get you have to get buy-in from the boots on the ground. You have to get buy-in from the people spending the money, because if you don't, there's always going to be a disconnect somewhere. And that's our
Yeah.
job, I feel, as people in the industry that are trying to make improvements. That is our job to overcome those.
Oh, for sure. I mean, part of that is why you have your podcast, right? So, Brett, when we look at it that way, that's kind of the responsibility, and the real goal is to improve the communication and understanding all at the same time. Very hard to do, but you have to be both intentional about it, and you got to be willing to understand that's not going to be an overnight process. You're going to have to put in the work, and if there's any shortcuts along the way, that gives, I don't want to say either side, like leadership, boots on the ground, but that gives this opportunity for people to kind of tune out. So when you structure your learning, do you focus on delivering learning through ReliabilityU that is really for the front line and boots on the ground, or are there things that are catered to leadership, or maybe those that sit in the middle, right? Like maintenance planner kind of sits in the middle, a maintenance manager kind of sits in the middle and is trying to get this done and satisfy this all at the same time. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, it is mostly boots on the ground. It's mostly how to use the tools, how to analyze data from these tools, how to put that into a maintenance program to say, okay, well, now I know how to collect the data. Now I know how to analyze to find out what the problems are. But then there's still more to that than just that. How do we actually fix the problems? Is this a actual thing we can fix? Or is this something that we realize, yeah, it's a problem, but we don't have the resources to fix this? I've been several places where that's the case. You get to the root problem and you realize this root problem is going to cost us way more than it's going to just patch this thing for years and years. So occasionally, like Adam said, it's not always ends up being where we push our technologies and these tools, and they're great, but they're not all encompassing. There's some things where what you've been doing year after year was maybe the right thing to do. So our training, but what I do try to do, kind of like you said, there's a middle ground too. Most of the training I put together, I also make sure that there's discussion at least on also why are we doing it. I'm not just going to show you how to use a tool and how to analyze the data and things to look for the troubleshooting part, but also why are we doing it? What's the end goal? What does this do for me if I learn how to do this? What's the payback for me? Because that's, everybody, unfortunately, we look at what the bottom line is. It's always money. Can I save money? If they're doing all this technology, they put all this money into training people and buying the tools and trying to implement, and they're getting very little back. I totally get why they get frustrated and they said, this stuff doesn't work. Well, usually the case is it's not that it didn't work. It's that it wasn't applied just quite the right way. So there is a middle ground, and we try to get as much as we can without just swamping this training material with way too much bulk that it's going to be weeks worth of your time. But we try to put some of that in there to kind of like, here's a real world example of where this actually worked. Here's some actual dollar value showing you that, hey, airborne leak inspections. Look at how much money this company could have saved if they would went around and passed all these tiny little leaks. It's things like that. You need to see it, and that's good for either the boots on the ground and upper management to see too. So in my world, ideally, in a classroom setting, if I had people like one company go on site to do training for one company. Ideally, what I would like to see is some upper management and boots on the ground and people right in the middle, because it's like kind of what we've been saying already. You get if you start at the top, then the guys at the bottom feel like, man, we're getting a lot of pressure to do something. You're acting like we've been doing things wrong all these years, and you're like saying it's our fault and we need to be doing this instead. That's not what's really happening. But when it comes from the top, that's what it looks like to the guys on the bottom. So,
or it feels like, yeah.
Exactly. It feels like that. Whether it is or not, it feels like that some ways. And I've been that guy. So what I like to see is if they both get it at the same time, because honestly, it's kind of dumb, but we all want it to be our idea. The reason why we did good. Hey, it was my idea. I did this. Well, if the guys at the bottom and the guys at the top, and I shouldn't say bottom and top, I should boots on the ground and management, whatever, because it's not a level thing. But in reality, if they're there together, they can think that they both came up with the idea at the same time, be like, hey, this is good stuff. And then they start talking about it and they agree on it instead of this is coming this way or coming this way. And they're not agreeing. They're like, no, you just heard something. You misunderstood it. So having them both in the room, ideally, that would be the perfect scenario. I know we don't
Yeah.
always have that luxury to have all these people in the same room, but that would be the ideal situation, to be honest.
Absolutely. And you get them talking. So, Adam, when you've been in these environments where they can really get a good flow let's a good flow going when it comes to the dialogues during, whether it's during a training session or some other kind of thing. I don't know what you want to call it, right?
Mhm.
But when people really start talking and kind of understanding rather than worrying about where it comes from. So they've gotten a little bit past the why. They've bought in, if we want to use that as a term. They understand why, hey, this helps me get home to the family on time. And it also happens to help the organization. And then the organization is saying, oh, we get better productivity. We see more smiles. But what we really want is more productivity when it comes to our products that are being produced, churned out, whatever, or
Right.
treated. Then everybody's kind of moving in the same direction. But when they get talking about what's holding them back, what they didn't understand, they can kind of get the ego out of the way and start focusing on more of a team approach. Have you gotten to see that kind of unfold right there in a classroom, whether it's virtual or at an event or something like that?
I've actually seen that a lot of times. I've seen the counter to that as well, unfortunately. Um, but it is, there's a lot of truth in people stick with an organization where they feel valued. I mean, the
Mhm.
money is only so much. I mean, money's critically important. Don't Nobody's going to do their job for free, but people, I think, will stick with an organization a little bit more if they feel that they're valued by the organization. Their input's important. Their contributions are important. And when you get those people, you get your frontline workers, your middle management, everybody in the room together. It it shows that the organization is willing to make that investment in you. And when that investment is made in you, just like you said, you start seeing a lot more smiling people. People are more happy to go the extra mile, or not more happy. They're happier. Excuse me, I can't speak English today, but
No,
they're
you're
happier to
good.
go. They're happier to go that extra mile to make sure that the department or the facility or whatever is productive. Because I mean, fully at the end of the day, if you're looking to um, implement a precision or a predictive or reliability centered maintenance program or a TPM program or whatever at your facility, and you're looking to lower your maintenance costs, don't do it, because you're not. You're not going to lower your maintenance costs at all. But you are long term going to see larger profit margins because your cost of repair starts to decrease. Mean time between failure increases, things like that. And I don't like talking about reliability theory a ton. Um, it's incredibly critical that people do that and understand it. It has massive implications and it's very, very important. It is not my strong suit. My strong suit is the technologies. Brett's strong suit is the technologies. Now, can we speak intelligently on the theory side of things? I like to think
In the
somewhat.
ballpark.
We can have the conversation, but there's people like ReliabilityX that are out there. That's what they're there for. I'm not trying to step on their toes. They're awesome at what they do. So when people call me and be like, "Hey, can we need somebody to come in here and do a site assessment and help us with our FMEAs?
Oh,
Can you?
that's
Can you? Yeah,
ReliabilityX.
they're like, can you guys help us with that?" And I'm like, I can, but call these dudes. They're the pros at that. Now, if you need help, if you need somebody to, help you out implementing how to do an ultrasonic lubrication program, physically doing the work, yes, that's our
Yeah.
that's our ballpark, and we can do that all day. So I feel like too many people in industry have tried to become the expert on everything, and you can't. I mean, there's not enough bandwidth in anybody's brain to do that. Pick a few things that you're good at. I mean, how many times have you went on a company's website and it'll say like, we are the premier whatever specializing in, but it's like at some point you got to stop. You can't specialize in everything. Specialization should be one, two, three things. My humble
Absolutely.
opinion. Otherwise,
And
it's not a specialty anymore.
that's right. Unless you have a growing brand that has that
Mhm.
representative expertise from a not just theory, but practical perspective, meaning
Yeah.
that they've been in the environments, done the work, they've had the struggles. Joe talks about it all the time. We're talking about Joe Anderson, folks. So, man, first of all, I want to thank you guys for joining me today. I'm going to switch us into a different segment of what I
Is this a
typically do.
is this a
Uh,
reliability you podcast now? And we're
Yeah,
going to ask you the
he asked the
question.
question.
Okay.
no, but we'll definitely
We'll
do
do
that.
that.
I
That's
just
coming
don't know that
soon.
I can answer much of it. But I want to put you guys through the fun question segment that first timers on
Yeah,
CMMS Radio typically suffer through. And I thought about doing it different for 2026, but I'm not sure yet. It's all a work in progress. Everything we do, right? This is
sure.
the other thing about maintenance management, reliability, asset management, uh, the things that you guys do, the things that they do at ReliabilityX, a lot of my other near and dear real deal pro friends, what they do. This is a work in progress always. And you're intentional, but you also are human. So don't phone it in. Don't just send it like, whatever. Yeah, that's done. Do good work, and it doesn't happen overnight. You talked about that, Brett, and all of this like that. But let's get you through this fun question segment.
Yeah.
And the way this works, no wrong answers, right? And I'll ask, you answer, and then we'll keep on rolling. So first for you, Brett, what's your favorite music?
I'm a '90s kind of, Pearl Jam, Soundgarden, kind of the grunge rock. But I don't know. Lately, I've been kind of drifting into some other stuff too. But that's where I guess if you look through my phone and looked at the most listened to music, it's probably '90s rock.
All right, that's cool. That's cool. Back to you, Adam. What's your favorite music, brother?
You know, I listen to a little bit of everything. But that 90s rock thing, I've been sitting here, I've been on a Pearl Jam kick myself. I've been sitting here working on it a little. I got
There you
band
go.
practice tonight here in about 4 hours. So
All
but
right.
yeah, but we play like with our band, you tend to play what you like. And I joke around and tell people we play anything from Eminem to REM. and
Okay.
and we do. I mean, we're all over the map. But I mean, like Alkaline Trio is one of my favorite bands. Grew up on Metallica. I mean, that was like really just I love it, man.
Oh
Absolutely
yeah.
love it. But and I was fortunate because my stepdad was a metalhead, had the massive speakers that we had to put in the basement because they were so loud you couldn't even put them on the main floor. Just listen to them out of the basement. CD collection that would rival about anyone. And I know you used to give me all those. What was it? I can't remember the name of it, but you bought a CD for a penny, and then you got
Oh yeah.
like, or bought
Oh
one for
yeah,
full
yeah.
price and got like 12 more for a penny. So he would
EMD.
always give me like three of his penny picks. And I remember getting like Presidents of the United States of America, Green Jelly, um, I remember getting my first album I ever got was Razorblade Suitcase by Bush. I mean, so yeah, all over the map. But I really just But then one of my favorite, I like a lot of classical. Eric Satie is one of my favorite composers. But then I'm also a huge Parrot head. So
Well,
all over the map, man.
nothing wrong with that, man. Nothing wrong with that. That's why I say no wrong answers. We're having some
Right.
fun here getting to know you. So now back over to you, Brett. What is your favorite sport or hobby? And on sport, it doesn't have to be one that you play. It could be one you like to root for, cheer for, or anything like that.
College football is probably number one. Fall comes around. That's my favorite time of year, college football. Now, I do watch pros, but they're, these guys, I guess now everybody's getting paid. But anyway, that was kind of my hang up before. These guys are crybabies that get paid and they bitch about what they have to do. But I don't know. I still like college football, probably the best. I was late getting into the game, but college basketball I kind of picked up when I started working for Wichita State University. I could go to games there. And they had a good team right when I went down there, undefeated the first year. That was my doing. You're welcome, Wichita. Anyway, yeah, so I got into college basketball too. And then as far as what I like to do myself, pretty straightforward, the easy stuff, golf. I suck at it. Adam and I do it a lot, but I'm not very good. It's fun.
That's why it's a hobby and not a profession in this case.
Yeah, no kidding.
All right. So now, Adam, what about you on favorite sport and or hobby on the sport, whether you play it or root for it?
Yeah. So I don't really, I have nothing against college football. I just don't follow it. I'll watch it if it's on, but I'm an NFL guy, Packer team owner. So you really gotta, I'm one of the 536,000 shareholders of that team. I own my one share. But no, a big NFL guy. And then same deal with Brett. I love playing golf. Brett and I try to play a lot of golf. I do watch a lot of golf. And another thing that Brett and we started here a couple of years ago, then we kind of dropped off. It was a lot of fun. Started playing pickleball.
And racquetball, actually, too. Yeah. Forgot about that.
We used to go to the YMCA and play racquetball quite a bit. And you would never shut up. You would never know it by looking at Brett, but that dude is incredibly fast on a racquetball court. Like, he will kill you. I think I win 1 out of 10, maybe. I mean, you're pretty dominant.
I don't think you should underestimate anyone that will step onto a racquetball court. My uncle used to call it putting on the chainmail.
Yeah. Oh, we've had some pretty good injuries from that.
Oh, we've had welts in the back of the head from getting drilled. I mean, but no, I love that stuff. I just like getting out and, anything you can do outside, preferably. But watching football, not going to go play it. Trust me, I'm not going to go play it, but I'll watch it.
All right, now here comes the big one. It's going to be for both of you separately. So first, we're going to go with Brett on this. What is your philosophy, perspective? Is it even a thing when it comes to this concept of work-life balance?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a tough one. I mean, it's important. I think everybody would tell you that it's important to have that good balance. But finding it, that's the tough part. And I guess what I would give, like in what I do to my kids, the advice to any young people that I have in classes too, is like, make sure you find don't just settle. Don't just find a job for the paycheck. Find a job for, are you happy doing it every day? Does it feel like work? And if it doesn't, you found the right job. And I feel like Adam and I both are kind of in that situation where I feel like it's not work. It's kind of fun to do.
Good. I like it. Now, same question for you, Adam. Perspective, philosophy, is it even a real thing, this idea around work-life balance?
So I've been sitting here laughing when you asked that question because last week or week before when we had the ReliabilityX Roadshow up in Appleton, Joe Anderson actually said in his presentation, and this isn't verbatim, I can't remember exactly how he worded it, but he said something to the effect of, anybody who's focused on work-life balance, that's a loser's philosophy. And I don't remember exactly how he said it. He's like, that's something that losers do or something. And I'm like, I was laughing my butt off. But anyway, I will, kind of regurgitate Brett's sentiment to an extent. It's the old adage, and I mean, it seems cliche, but, do something you love, you'll never work a day in your life. So I don't really feel there needs to be work-life balance. I think what people need to focus on is time management.
Mm,
And it's not so much balancing work and life because my work is my life, but I still have to carve out time for my kids. I need to carve
Yeah.
out time for my wife. I need to carve out time to go play a round of golf. I need to, carve out time to go rehearse with my band. That does not mean that I put work on the back burner. I've just allocated time differently. And I have a very strict philosophy on my calendar, and it's first come, first serve. And I don't give a shit if I have, because so I'm the school board president of the local Catholic school too.
mm,
Um, it's the worst paying, best job I've ever had.
yeah.
Um, but if I have something on for the school scheduled and a customer calls that wants to spend money, first come, first serve. I don't care if it was paying or not. Same deal. If I have time allocated to hang out with my family and do something, I'm not canceling that. And then obviously, well, I shouldn't say obviously, but my number two philosophy is if anybody tries to schedule anything, no agenda, no attenda. If you want me to show up and be present for an hour or 2 hours or 3 days, I better know why I'm coming because you can always make more money, but you can't make more time.
Yeah, it's our most precious commodity, and I think the question is really born out of, I don't know if that's a little strong. It really is about getting these extra perspectives from different people because we're all in unique environments, but we've got all these similarities. Nuance is really the most fascinating part of our existence, whether it's in the world of maintenance or otherwise. And work and life are co-occupying that precious commodity of time. So this idea or concept of work-life balance, it's really on the person to decide, define, and determine how they're going to incorporate that or even believe in that. So many people would say, it's not a balance thing or whatever. It'll help somebody out there. They'll agree with you, they'll
Yeah.
disagree, but they will be thinking. And that's the whole point. We want to be thinking about what we're doing in some meaningful way, but at the same time, not losing sight of the practical realities of
Yeah.
what we do, who it affects, who it impacts, and all that. This has been great for me, guys. I want people to check out ReliabilityU. I want people to connect with you guys on LinkedIn. I've checked out your episodes. We finally got you on here with CMMS Radio, and I can't wait to watch what's next in your mutual journeys, guys.
Well,
Happy New Year.
Same to you, man. And hopefully one of the next ones involves you.
Yeah.
We'll try that. Yeah.
We'll get you on, man, for sure.
Cool. So, guys, it's Brett Scott and it's Adam Lunt. You can find them on LinkedIn. Check them out. Check out ReliabilityU. Gentlemen, have an awesome new year.
Dude, appreciate you so much, man. Thanks for having us on.
Thank you.
You got it. Did you find this episode helpful? Please send us some feedback, suggest a topic, or ask a question. Reach out to CMMS Radio if you need a co-pilot on your CMMS project. Visit CMMSradio.com and use the What's on Your Mind link. Thank you for tuning in to CMMS Radio, your resource for all things CMMS from selection to implementation to help you make better choices, learn from industry experts, and have a successful CMMS journey.